Welcome to Real and Raw. Your story is your medicine, the podcast with Letizia.
Welcome everyone to another episode and a new episode of the Real and Raw podcast. And today is not only special because it is actually the last episode of the season, and I will be back with new episodes starting September or October. I will let you know. And so yeah, today's not only special because it's the last episode of this season, but also because my guest is actually right here with me in person. Oh my god. Yeah, my beautiful friend Tina, she came to visit me and is right here. And so we thought, yeah, let's just record this last episode together. And yeah, we're gonna talk about some really juicy stuff, some really interesting things, like really, yeah, real and raw life, just bringing things to the table. Like it's not love and light, it's not all butterflies and rainbows, but like really talking about, the challenges. And yeah, I'll let you know later about the topic we're going to talk about. But first, I want to welcome you, Tina, and so beautiful to have you. I don't know if you want to introduce yourself a little bit, talk about yourself. Who are you? What do you do? Where are you from?
So thank you very much for having me, inviting me, spending time with me. And yeah, my name is Tina, and I live in Germany, and I started to work as a birth keeper last year after finishing the radical birth keeper school. Yeah, I think that's the most important thing, and everything else you will learn.
Yeah.
During the talk, I think.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, it's so good to have you. Also, like like we met, that was last September. We met like in a online school, and so now we finally met in person. It's so amazing. So yeah, it's so beautiful to actually get to meet the people that you just see on screen, like to see they have actually a body. It's not just like from here till here, like, oh wow, there's actually body to the person. So it's so beautiful to have you. Yeah, and I'm so excited about this conversation because it really just, like, how do you say, it was born? No, but like it came to my mind. Actually, like I was not sure what to do in this last episode. I've been really thinking, like, there was a lot of topics that I wanted to talk to. I thought, okay, I'm just gonna have it like just by myself. But then you were here. I was like, oh, this is amazing. Like you're here, and especially like the conversations we had like really led to this podcast, to this episode. And what we want to go into is really like talking about also the challenges about being a self-employed woman, and all the challenges to actually really like taking that leap of faith, and then all that it actually like entails, like how it is to really bring that to fruition. And I think especially nowadays with social media, it's like it seems like so beautiful and easy, and you can only see actually then the fruits of what's happening, but what is really going on on the surface, like really all the struggles and all of that. And I feel like it's really important to talk about that, so because I know that there's so many women who are going through the same, and then it feels like you're alone, right? And yeah, like how it, like, one also, like, if you want to share about your own story, like how did you actually get to become self-employed? Like what was kind of like driving you, and how was that for you?
Well, it's kind of a funny story. As I told you yesterday, some years ago, actually, I thought, I don't think I ever want to be self-employed by myself, because I had tried it. Well, I hadn't really tried it, but there was an idea, and there was a friend, and we wanted to start something together, and it just didn't work out. And already for a few years, I've been employed for most time of my life. But aside, I was teaching yoga, giving Thai yoga massages, yeah, so working in the body field kind of, and like trying to connect these things and trying to, you know, have the security for one from the employment, but then still have the freedom. And it's kind of actually it did work out quite well, but then at some point I was just like, no, this job that I was doing, like, I'm done with it. Like, it just, it's not me, I don't want to do it, but at the same time I had no idea what was out there for me, like what I wanted to do. And so I started this, well, literally journey. And
it is
travel,
a journey.
well, it is a journey, and also the journey started
journey.
with the real journey, going to Ecuador, traveling, and starting to open myself basically to whatever was there, which sounds kind of beautiful and easy and just like open up and see what comes, but no.
Exactly. It's like boom.
Yeah, it's a lot of process and just kind of trial and error and just see, you know. And I'm just thinking, you know, how deep I should go into the story, like what led me to where I am now. But I think it was a lot of, how do you say, not accidents, but like coincidences,
synchronicities.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good word for it. Thank you. Yeah, or synchronicities that I was starting to dive
I want to know
dive into this realm of birth, all about it. And I started to ask friends to tell me their birth stories.
Wow.
You know, while I was in Ecuador, I was like, hey, would you be open to share your story? Because obviously I know the outcome, which might have been a cesarean or whatever. But I was like, tell me your story. I want to know more details if you're open for that. And I started listening to podcasts, and I think what led me to the path in the end, I started talking with other people, like other travelers. You know, like having this idea, like wanting to maybe work in the birth world, but not knowing like how this would look like, or if it was for me even. And so I met this woman in Ecuador, and she told me about a podcast, the Free Birth Society podcast. And then I started listening to those stories, and then I learned about the Radical Birth Keeper School, and this is how I signed up. And not back then, for me, how I work, like how my personality is, it's not like already thinking about all the consequences. You know, I was like, I'm taking this course, but not really thinking, oh, what does that mean? Like, what am I going to do after the course? Like, what kind of work is there? And will I have to do social media and da 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 da? Right. All of this, you know, I was just like, I would love to do this course because it's calling me so much. And yeah, and then I did the course, and then it was kind of obvious that the only way to work in birth worlds as a birth keeper is being self-employed.
Right, yeah.
You know, that's what I didn't consider before. And I was like, damn, actually, that's not what I wanted to do. Because, well, yeah, like, I didn't want to do it, or like not being self-employed, because I had this, like, I knew already that for me, being by myself, like just working with only me, is extremely difficult for me. Right. Like having no inspiration, having no one to share my thoughts with, or to ask for suggestions or ideas, or just missing a partner or a lot of coworkers to just, you know, like I don't know, you know how it feels, like totally. You just have this question in mind and you don't have an answer. Exactly. And sometimes the moment you speak it to another person, you already have the answer, or maybe the other person is giving you the answer, but it's always this exchange is so much needed. Exactly. Totally. So beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. I'm just curious. So actually, when you went to Ecuador, you didn't go with the intention of then, you know, going into birth work, or that just came while you were on the journey there? I didn't. Like, the story is that I had in mind becoming a midwife before, like just you know, it popped up in my mind like midwife. And then that's why I started listening to podcasts. And also I had an offer to, how do you say, practicum, to practice, to do like not an apprenticeship, but like
internship.
Internship, yes. To do an internship at the hospital with all those midwives. Because I got to know one midwife and she invited me there. But then Rona came. Anyway, and then a friend of mine, actually, I asked her if I could help her on her land in Greece. And she was like, oh, I would love to have you here, but right now I'm not there myself. But I have a sister in Ecuador. She has 2 boys. They want to learn German.
Oh, wow.
Would you be willing, or maybe this is where you want to go? And so this was actually why I went to Ecuador.
Oh, wow. It's amazing.
Yes. And then at some point there, after starting listening to the podcast and so on, I thought, well, I wanted to start witnessing births in Germany, starting to witness how this work feels for me. And then I thought, okay, well, now I'm here in Ecuador, why not do it here?
Exactly.
And so I was talking to a lot of expat women, asking about their experience and their midwives, and that's how I got to know, or I got a few contacts, and so I contacted different midwives. And that's how I got the chance to witness my first 2 rebirths.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. Interesting. That's so yeah, it really was synchronicity. It was like, no, not Greece, but why don't you just go to Ecuador?
Yeah,
I love that, right? It's like, and there's always this thing I always tell myself, like, because you said before also that you didn't really want to become self-employed, but then, well, you did end up being self-employed or become self-employed, and it's like, what we want is not always what we need.
Right.
And so yeah, that has been really accompanying me for so long, because I feel like a lot of times we can get so attached to outcomes and like what we think is best for us, what we think we want. But is it really best for us? Like, we don't know. So like just being open and see wherever it leads us. And yeah, it obviously had to lead, like it led you here, and it's amazing. And yeah, and especially like talking about that, I mean, the reason also why you came here, and I think that's also really important, like it's so beautiful, because since we finished the school, we just kept in touch, like we kept on talking once a week, and to really like support each other in that journey, of creating, of like, because there have been so many times, like, and it's so beautiful to see, like, when we have that conversation, we're not alone. It's like, wow, there are times where we're like super inspired. Oh yeah, let's do this, let's do that. And then there are times where we talk and we're like, what the fuck is this? Like, I'm super lost. I have no idea. There's no reason. There's no, it just feels like so frustrating, right? It feels like it doesn't advance. And so we were just saying, like, oh, it would be so amazing if we could just, get together and work with each other, inspire each other. And Tina was like, you know what? I come and visit you in Switzerland. I was like, okay, perfect. And here she is. So yeah. So it was so amazing. So that was really the intention, to get together and like just being able to exchange and that's where we found out, like, really, like, also like with a lot of circles I do, and like with women I talk, there's always the same thing, especially with women who are creating their own business, like this struggle of like, I just don't know where to go, like it feels like there's so much, and all these insecurities that start to come up, and like, oh, I feel like, I'm not good enough, or like all these things, because becoming self-employed is like a huge process. It really is like a huge process to really grow even more and like to get to know yourself. So you came, and it was just so amazing to see like the exchange that was happening, right? And to really have someone also there who can reflect you, like really mirror you, and like to see actually one's potential, right? And I feel like that's so important. And what came, or what is becoming more and more obvious for me is that being self-employed or having your own business doesn't mean you have to do it on your own. And I feel like that's what I always thought. It's like, oh, now I'm on my own. Well, boom,
Exactly.
you do that, and yeah, you cannot ask for help. And I mean, I don't know about you, but for me, it's so difficult to ask for help. It's like,
same for me.
I can't, right? And
Yeah.
so, yeah, and so that doesn't mean we have to do it on our own. And actually, even more, I feel like that's the beauty of, you know, this more community thinking of like really bringing back again, you know, like our own potential. Like we don't take anything from someone else, right? And like really like having that maturity to get together and like talk and be inspired by the other person, and then see like, wow, look what you got, look what you have done. And like, because we need to have that reflected, because we ourselves don't see it, right? And yeah, so I don't know if you want to talk us a little bit about your own struggles, like what has been there for you that has been really like the biggest challenge and struggle.
Whew. I would just like refer also to something that you said before, just because I'm very picky with words, as you may have learned already. And I mean, now you said struggle, but before you said, you know, it's a process. And I think process still sounds so positive, but no, like, I mean, yes and no. It's like this huge up and down. You know, like there are days I feel like I don't know, like I'm doing really, really good and I feel so good about myself. And, you know, and women tell me, oh, this is so needed what you do. And, oh, I'm so happy you're doing this and you're offering what you're offering. And then other days, you know, I sit there by myself at home crying.
Yeah.
Like, have no idea what my next step is, because I feel I haven't created nothing. Like everyone else, like every woman, and what you said before, you know, this social media world, you know, you look out there and you just see everyone doing so well and like putting out their offers and like creating those amazing, inspiring reels and those posts and those stories. And it's like, and then I feel like so tiny and small. And it's like, I don't know who I am, what I'm doing, why am I doing this? Like, there's just 100,000 question marks.
Yeah.
And I feel that itself is the biggest struggle, to go through those cycles, because it's like, actually, it's like the women's cycle. Exactly what it is. But it's like these huge waves, and to learn how to ride them. And then doing, well, in that moment, you know, I have the feeling I have to do this by myself.
Yeah.
And to some extent, I think I have to do it by myself. You know, like it's so helpful to have women there. And to ask for help, and, you know, to like, you know, there is support, but then still this is your project and you still have to get this. You know, and you have to hold yourself. But then obviously it's easier with the community. And
but yeah, I really just want to like also like put really emphasis on that what you just said, because exactly, it seems always like it's so easy, but it's no. Like I don't know how many days I actually spend by myself just crying, being frustrated, having so much anxiety of like, what is even gonna happen, and like,
where's the money coming from?
Exactly. And it especially because there you can, and then every time I am in that situation, I'm like, it just shows me again and again and again, like how, excuse my language, fucked up this society and the system is. It's like, it is completely against nature. It's like, how can we even live or like exist? in something so artificial. And of course, there's so much conditioning, so much programming that we think we have to deliver, we have to be productive, and like only then we are worthy. And so that's why it is like going onto this journey really is like bringing out like the deepest fear and the deepest shadows, and just yeah, like I spend so much time just being there, like crying and like not knowing what to do with myself. And I think it's important to really just say that, like it's really not just rainbows and butterflies. And then even I feel like what I've noticed is that even the exactly like even though you have kind of like the community, like in those moments that even that is like you're like, oh no, I don't believe that. I'm sure I'm alone.
I don't even thinking about it. I don't even have the idea. I would also, I think in that moment I would never, call you or get in touch with you, because it's just not, I don't even have this thought. Just I'm like so like in a cave by myself, having the feeling that there's nothing else but me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
and I'm like drowning and no one can help me.
Yeah,
I don't know.
And I know I love it that sometimes I'm like really like then I just become this victim. I'm like, oh my God, and everything is against me. I mean, I just then love to be in that space as well, to just actually allow that to happen. But I think it's also important to maybe also like for us in the future to actually really realize, okay, when that happens, no, you know what? I just maybe want to reach out.
Right.
And,
and I can.
Exactly. Say, hey, do you have space? Do you have time right now? Do you feel like holding me just for a moment and I just need to rant? And then that's it.
Right.
Because a lot of times, it feels like, you can do it on your own, but it helps when okay, there's someone there. There's just someone holding and seeing me. And that person obviously doesn't need to do anything. Just be there and say, yeah, I hear you. I see you. I hold you, right? Doesn't even need to say that, but just the presence.
Yeah.
You just notice, wow, okay, I'm not alone.
Yeah.
Right?
Right. And also you can, like, I feel when I'm by myself, just my thoughts are rushing. And once I get them out, it's already a relief.
Exactly.
Because I just got them out, and there comes so much realization with talking in this open space.
Yeah.
Somehow, like not maybe sometimes more, sometimes less, but then still it's like, oh, it's just so relieving. Like having this weight off your shoulder for a moment.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah.
But I actually, like, it's interesting that I just say, I would never reach out, because also I feel if I'm being brutally honest, it's like in that moment feeling like I'm a burden to the other person.
Exactly. Yeah.
Just coming with my shit and like not wanting to put the shit onto another person. And also obviously feeling extremely vulnerable, being in that space.
Yeah.
And not wanting to share that because it sucks. And like I do know that, it's not all that bad and it's not all, dark and heavy. But then, actually I like that you said before, like also allowing, in that moment, like allowing ourselves to be vulnerable, to be in this dark realm. And it's okay to share that.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's okay to cry and to being held.
Yeah, and to be seen while crying and while being so vulnerable. Yeah, totally. And I can so resonate, because I also tend to, especially when I'm in those moments, which I know I think it's also like there's not a bad thing, we obviously also need time, to be with ourselves, Sure. But I also, what I noticed for myself, that I use that, or like, to really isolate and then like to withdraw even more, like of what is actually healthy, and because exactly like you say, you feel like, I don't want to bother anyone, like who cares, and like it's not that bad. But yeah, like knowing, no, we actually do have women or also men there who maybe can hold us with that, right? And then having the courage to say, hey, you know what, do you have a moment, are you also in the space to actually hold me, right? And then yeah, just do that. I mean, let's try that.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, it's easier also
I'm
now
totally up for
saying
that,
it,
but yeah.
you know, when you're in a good space, like, oh yeah, you should totally do that. And then next time, like, no, I don't want to. No, but really, like, to give ourselves permission to do that. I feel like that's also a little bit, you know, we have been so conditioned, like we cannot, like, yeah, oh, we're too much, we're a burden, like, oh no, like, and and I do believe that,
And we have to do it by ourselves.
exactly, we have to do it by ourselves.
It's always like, oh, you have to be strong, you have to do it by yourself. Like,
oh, exactly.
really just being by yourself. But
Yes,
no,
exactly. And the thing is, but I feel like it is so deep within, like so embedded within ourselves, that we are thinking that that's, you know, like we even, like when someone comes for help, like we're like, the first thing is like,
right.
oh,
No, thank you.
yeah, like, oh, you're
I don't
gonna
need
bother
help.
me. Exactly. Like, you know, like it really is so deep. So I think when you are opening up to that, like really becoming aware of like how isolated we've all been, like how disconnected we've been, and like that's why it's even, I feel like, even more difficult to open up and to find actually community who is open for that and who's ready and willing to listen, right? And so, and again, I think there is obviously probably in that space our own journey to find also these people, but I think by doing that, by simply opening up, like we draw these people to us, right? And like, yeah, it is so difficult. I mean, yeah, and I know, because that asking for help, and like, wow, it's so hard. And like for me, like throughout my whole life, it's always been like, oh yeah, you have to be strong. And I can totally feel that. It's like, it feels like I have become like this, you know, like rigid. I mean, not that I'm rigid, but like, you know, there's this tension that I feel in my body of like, oh, I always need to have it together. Like, oh, I cannot show that softness, that weakness, you know, quote unquote weakness. And but knowing, you know, and or like opening up to that is so hard. It's like, oh my God, can I actually really just let go? And like, I'm being held? Like, is that even an option? Is that even a possibility? And like, it is.
It is.
It's so amazing. And wow, especially, you know, these last few days. Wow, honestly, they have been so healing to actually really witness that, of like, oh my God, I can also take up space in the sense of like, I can share my things and I'm being heard. And then again, I can go into the other um role of holding space and of reflecting back, right? It's like, you know, like,
and not even having this to be equal, you know,
exactly.
it's not like we say, oh yeah, like now you go for 2 hours and then I go for 2 hours, but it's like just naturally,
Exactly,
it's
it's
happening.
organically, it's,
Yeah, and that's
yes,
what it's so beautiful.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. And I feel like really that was like, we created also that container, right? It was like, of course, it was the intention why you also came, and we were like, we created that, and it just organically like, oh yeah, this and that and that, and it was like this beautiful dance, and it created this energy of like, yeah, this is what's happening here right now, and we are allowed to do that, and therefore it was easier to open up, right? And then like also you want to not, I mean, help, we don't need to help, but like you want to support, exactly, and just see like, oh my God, yes, there's so many amazing ideas, and like you go for it, you know, like, and together like all these ideas start to come up. And yeah, because there's we allowed ourselves to open up and to give space for that to happen, right? And so wow.
I also would like to add that,
Yeah,
you know, it
please.
always, not always, but right now I feel, you know, if you listen to this, it sounds so easy, you know, to find someone you can do this with.
Right.
But then being really honest, I mean, for one, I think I was also motivated to start being self-employed because in the Radical Birthkeeper school, you know, it already felt like a community. And then I had another, like, I was so lucky to have a birthkeeper with me in Munich, you know, that I quickly got connected with. And that already, you know, it felt like a community, and I had someone there to talk with, and I had you as my accountability partner and staying in touch afterwards. So this already, then it didn't feel like being all by myself.
Right.
But then, yeah, still it's a challenge, you know, to find other people, because I was just thinking, or other women, because if you're self-employed, people who are not self-employed, even they may be your best friends.
Yeah. They don't get it.
They don't get it. It's hard for them to hold you, I guess. I guess some of them could, but then it's so much easier if you have someone being in kind of the same phase, the same, facing the same challenges. Because then you really get each other and you can really support each other, and you know how the other person is feeling, or another person who has been there.
Right.
So I feel it's important to say that, you know, if you're in this situation right now, look for someone who might be in the same situation or has been there. So really,
exactly.
so you're in the same wavelength.
Totally. Yeah, that is so true. Because exactly. So yeah, like we have it now, but it's also easy to say, but like to get there, right? I do think also, of course, that also does need an effort, obviously, from ourselves to be open, like to just at least, you know, set the intention, like, okay, I'm gonna just open up and, you know, also, you know, take action, and like maybe also like join women's circles and like, you know, get to know other women and
talk about what you're doing.
Exactly.
Like this is, you know, also what opened my doors to this whole world, that I was starting to talk about my ideas, even though they were like just like really tiny little ideas, which is this, oh, I'm curious, you know, about this. And that's how everything happened. You know, just like start talking where you want to go, and then women are like, they're gonna follow you, you know, like follow. It sounds like social media follow, no. But they're gonna support you, and they will be there for you. And also in the last women's circle that I held, there was women, like she's been in, I think, almost all our women's circles. And just now, it was the first time that she shared that she was starting to do this special massage technique, you know, and then inviting the other women, you know, to like being her, how would you say, her
she can
so she can practice. So she can practice her new skills. And you know, also by that, you know, she opened up like that. Basically, that's what I mean, that's not what she did, you know. She was not presenting herself, that's what I'm doing, but she brought it there. You know, and now we all know this is what she's doing, so we can refer to her when we meet someone. And like this is also a big part of support.
Totally.
Yeah, what you said before, you know, not being scared of the idea of the other person.
Yes.
But to see the other women doing amazing stuff. And it's also, that's easily said. Like I catch myself comparing myself.
Right, yeah.
And feeling so tiny and small, seeing other women doing kind of the same work as I do. And then I see them doing their work and I'm like, why am I here? Like they already do this. They do this so much better.
Yeah.
Is it true? Maybe not, but this is how I feel.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's also, I feel, something that we women, we tend to do that and compare ourselves and make ourselves small and tiny.
Totally. Yeah, and I mean, also there it really goes back to the sister wound that is so deeply, deeply, deeply embedded in ourselves, right? And it comes from there, and it comes actually just from a lack, not thinking that we are enough, right? Because, like, you know, I mean, it goes back. So, I mean, I'm not going to go into the history now where it comes from, but but it is still there within, and then that's where we can see like always this competition of like with women, because it is still there. And like what I noticed though is like in these circles now, you know, the more we open up spaces like that, the more we offer women's circles, the more we actually get to see the woman for who she is, the more it like actually gives you permission to see, oh wow, like actually we're, oh my god, we feel the same, right? And And that's so healing. I feel like that's why it's just so healing to just be in women's circles, because that can really help us to see like, no, she's not taking anything from me, and I'm not taking anything from her. I'm exactly how I am, and my uniqueness is what is needed, and her uniqueness is what is needed, because we all have our own medicine that we get to share. And even though it's similar, it's still never the same, because it is unique to you, and my work is unique to me, or like, it's so I feel like it's also really that, like, to really learn that, and it really you can only heal that, I believe, by being in circle with other women, right? Because you get to see, and it's just so beautiful when you can suddenly see and feel so happy for the other woman to see how amazing she is, right? And I feel like the moment that happens, it's like it heals. It's like, oh my God, and like I can actually shine and she can shine. Like I don't have to.
We can shine next to each other.
Exactly. And no one is gonna take anything from anyone. So it's so beautiful. Yeah.
But I guess this is also what you have to learn before you can open up to this other woman.
Yeah, exactly.
That holds space for you. Because if you still think, oh, she's so much better, whatever, then this is difficult to be vulnerable in front of this person. So it's this
exactly
kind of I only come up with the word vicious cycle, which is not the right word in this. Well, it is, but it's like way too negative. But it's like a step-by-step thing, like realizing, oh, actually I'm comparing myself. Actually, I'm believing I'm not as good as the other person, and trying, or maybe even asking other women, or just realizing how the women give you feedback.
Yeah.
Like in a good way, because it's happening and it's there, and it may not happen every day, obviously.
Yeah.
But then, you know what I told you?
Yeah.
Just yesterday I posted a story, and a woman, like I was asking women, oh, who inspired you just recently? And then she just sent me this message, and she was like, you. And it was so difficult for me to take that in beautiful. And like to get soft about it. It was like, but why? I was guessing it the second I get the message.
Yeah.
I think there was a second of and then right away there was like so many thoughts.
Yeah.
But then it's okay to, like, I'm extremely happy that I'm able to realize this at this point.
Yeah.
Because this is where I can grow. Like I'm realizing it, and then I can get better about it.
Exactly.
And be open about it, and just accepting myself, like, yes, this is still what I'm doing to some extent, but it's slowly, dissolving.
Yeah, exactly. And so that is actually also like, that's what shadow work is about. Like when you see, like, you suddenly feel triggered by another woman, you feel suddenly less than, put them on a pedestal. It's like, why? Like really go deep and then inquire there, because there's so much that is so like deep within that has been just repressed, put under the rug, and like really also dive into that. And what I also want to say is that, like, there's no way to get out of these moments also of being in complete darkness and feeling like shit, right? It's like, it is also part, like, I guess I also just want to really say, like, even though we have the support, it's still necessary. It's still going to be there, and it's so needed to go down into the depth of hell and then come back up, right? But like, so yeah, it is like, it's so much easier when you're not alone. To be in that depth, you're like, okay, I know I'm not alone. But again, it's such a long journey to actually even feel like, because it's one thing to know, okay, I'm not alone, but to really feel that, like, it's like, I feel like that's when the body can actually relax. That's when you're like, oh wow, how does that feel? I can actually like go, like, I am not alone, even though I'm in the deepest shit, I'm in hell, but I'm not alone. And like, right, it's like, yeah. And again, like, when you really feel that, when you have a woman and that triggers you, like, yeah, okay, let's see why, what is it? What is it that I actually project onto her that I might have myself? Right? These positive projections that we have, like thinking, oh, that person is like God, like, oh my God, they have it all figured out. But then no, we're like taking that away from ourselves, like not realizing what is actually within ourselves. And so yeah, I feel like it's such a complex topic. It's like there's so much.
It is.
Oh my God.
It is, yeah.
But yeah, like yeah.
I was also wondering if it's still important, to talk about money, because this is also talking about self-employment.
Yeah.
It's like, you asked me about struggles before, and
Yeah.
actually I didn't in that moment, I didn't think about it. I didn't mention it. But then, yeah, having to create money is like an extremely big pressure. And I don't even know what to say about it. I just want to put it out there because
Yeah.
I feel it is the moment when a lot of people, not only women,
Yeah.
think, oh no, I can never be self-employed, or I cannot fulfill my dreams, I cannot follow my visions, because how do I create money with it? And honestly, I don't have the answer.
Neither.
Not yet, maybe. But it's also, I think it's, yeah, maybe at some point you just have to be brave. And I heard about, like, I think I heard friends and people saying, oh, you're so brave just quitting your job. And for me, it feels so natural. Obviously, it was a process. Yes, it was a process to get there and to really be like, okay, I just quit my job, not knowing what's going to be next. But totally being aware that, I've worked as an event manager and team assistant for years. Like, I know I can get a job in a second. And I think almost everyone can, and even if you don't have a proper quotes profession, you can still work in a cafe, or you can find work if it doesn't work out.
Exactly.
And that's what for me, obviously I'm also sometimes stressed about the money. But then I always have in my mind, like, okay, whatever, you can just go somewhere and work and support yourself with that while still trying to fulfill your dream or your vision, without having the expectation all the money has to come from this work right now. Because also I feel the idea had been put in my mind that, you're gonna be self-employed and self-sustainable within the shortest amount of time. Fuck no.
Exactly.
Sorry, but fuck no.
Exactly. That's so important to know. Like, it's just an illusion. I feel like,
I guess for
maybe
most,
it is possible. It is maybe.
I'm sure it is possible for a few out
exactly.
there, but I think it's bullshit to tell other people, yeah, within 3 months you're gonna have enough money and you're gonna be self-sustainable. Well, most probably not.
Exactly. And then also I feel like and I think that's really important. I mean, at least that's how I feel. It's really dangerous also to say, like, to actually give that impression. And then, if you don't make it, oh well, that has to do with you, right? It's like, I don't believe so. I mean, of course, it is obviously our commitment and everything. It is. But what I think is, like, it's not that simple. And especially I feel like when you're 100% want to do, like, being in integrity and, like, really, going from there, I do believe, like, totally in abundance, but it has to come from that integrity, right? And like, because I feel like a lot of things is also just, it's easy to manipulate people into something, right? Anyways, I'm gonna go actually on a tangent onto something else. I don't really want to go into there.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, I feel like it's so important, to know that it takes a while, right?
It does take a while, which is not like, I don't want to scare anyone
No,
by that.
no.
I think it's just important to know, because I'm just now realizing, and also a friend of mine, she just recently said, for most people it takes about 3 years
Exactly.
to get there. And then I was like, damn, why I was stressing myself out so much. I was like, oh, I couldn't do it within half a year, then maybe that means I cannot do it at all.
Exactly.
But no, as long as it's possible, I'm gonna try and see where it takes me. And also I feel what's really interesting, because I saw it in you and I see it in myself, is when you start being self-employed, and even if you go within this journey with an idea what you want to offer, most probably you have to expect and accept that it's gonna change. Like we talked about this before. Like we also, I think, also obviously from the school we got this idea, like this is what you can offer. Like not blaming the school here, don't get me wrong. Just, like, oh, these are the things that you can offer most likely. Like after school, this is just what you can offer. Sorry for repeating this 3 times. Oh my God. And then obviously this is where you start, because this is where you feel comfortable, and this is what the message was. And then you start building a website, you put it on there, and then at some point it just doesn't feel right anymore.
Yes.
And then, okay, you change it. And this is also the process of being self-employed. You have to accept that things are ever changing.
Ever changing.
Ever changing.
Yes, exactly. Oh,
I mean, which
yes.
is also beautiful, because you learn like from everything you do. And I think it's so needed that you start somewhere and just put it out.
Exactly.
And that just then you can feel like, do you feel connected with it? Does this feel integral?
Yeah.
Or does it not? But you need to start and then feel it, because you don't know.
Exactly.
Yeah. I also don't want to, like, I'm just thinking, oh shit, I'm scaring.
No. But it's just like
really
being
trying.
real of like what's
Yeah,
happening.
exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
it's not just boom, I do it and everything is good. It's not.
Like, most probably it's not.
No, but like, yeah, of course, there's also all these amazing things that happen. But we actually, the intention of this podcast is to bring out the real and raw stuff. So not that you say, oh, no one told me, like, oh, we did. I'm just kidding. But no, it's so important. I love that thank you for mentioning that, because it's so true. And especially it feels like, I sometimes feel like, I mean, I'm in the process of rewriting my website.
I know.
And then I'm like, sometimes I wonder, what if then once it's out, like, I feel like I cannot keep up with, because it keeps on changing. And it is like, once you go in there, it's like a whole universe that opens up. It's like, wow. And it is the beauty. And I feel like, especially, and I mean, I think it's important to mention, like, we talk about businesses that are really our actual, like, soul's calling. It's not just about any business that you can just,
like, sell a product that's going to sell good.
Exactly.
Just to make money.
Exactly. So this is really, and I think that's also the difference, because it's your own life. It's your own experience. It's what you feel from deep within. And I feel like it's even more difficult, because it's really like, oh, well, I put myself out there. It's like, that's my life. That's my story. And so I think that's even more.
Yeah, it's not a product that you can hide behind.
Exactly. It's like
you.
Exactly.
It's working with you.
Exactly. It's just actually bringing out whatever brought you to this point. Like, yeah, that's what I can offer. It's my life experience. And I think that's why it's even more difficult, more challenging, I believe, because I don't know the other thing. I haven't tried that. But what I also wanted to go into is like the process of, like, yeah, it changes because we get to know ourselves more. We change. And so the same way we change, our business changes, because that's it. Like, we're ever changing, ever growing and expanding. And that's what happens. And so I think that can be sometimes the challenge. At least for me, I noticed that, because I think, like, oh, now I have to do this, and then, oh, fuck, but I'm actually already right there. Oh, shit. And it's like so confusing, because there's so much, and like, and I mean, you know me, you've now actually get to meet me in person. Like, yeah, I'm very like, there, yeah, there's so many things that are up there, but like then to bring it down to earth and like knowing how to bring it there. And it's so that's why I feel like I don't know if I can keep up with that. Like once my website is done, oh, maybe shit, now it doesn't resonate anymore. I have to do it again. So I'm like, why even bother? No, but yeah, but I think it's really important that you mentioned that. Yeah, and because we're always ever growing and expanding, and so is our business, and so that's why I think this is actually just this is the work. And like it's like the same thing when you have a relationship. That's also like it can help you to really like get to know you even better. It's like this spiritual journey. And so I feel like also this, when you do when you create a business out of your soul's calling, it is a spiritual journey, because you get to see who you are and all these insecurities, all these fears, and all these conditions and programs, and especially also because what we do is goes completely against the consensus, status quo, and that also, keeping that in mind, that it's even more challenging, I believe, right?
Guess so.
Yeah, right. And yet again, it's exactly that's what's gonna actually make the change, right? Like, we're not here to play small. Like, even though we would like to, it's like, no, that's not who we were destined to be. And yeah, because only like that we can actually change something. And what I've noticed as well is, and also then when speaking to you these last few days also, especially because like really I think because it is different, being in person and just really the energy is different. It's like having this real connection, right? What I see more and more, and that has always like hurt me so much, and I have become more aware of that in the last 2 years, is that it's exactly like people, also men, but especially also women who have that, like, that come from a real and pure place from the heart, are the ones who, I mean, obviously it's like, we tend to make ourselves small. We don't think that what we have to say is important, and because the society, the different, like the opposite is so loud, and it just like feels like we're just like being like stumped on, right? And so it is more difficult, but it's like it's so time that we actually start to see our worth and see what is there and how important that is. And it's like I really feel like in this time, like we are in this big time of transition. It is like there's no more like, oh, maybe I'm gonna wait. And I feel like that's why there's so many women now that are also like starting to, we are coming out, but it is just this journey. But like really knowing, like, and I also feel like there comes a moment, and I just know that for myself, like there comes always a moment when you're like, I just got to do it. Like, even though it's scary as hell, but I know there's no other way. Like, I just need to go. And so I feel like now is that time of like, we can no longer just play around and say, oh yeah, maybe in a few years. No. It's time that we actually also really do this and come out. And I think that's why it's also easier to find support now, because more and more are coming out, and we're not so alone anymore, right? Yeah. It's like we're coming out of like the flowers are starting to blossom, and like it is like not anymore about selling a product that no one meets. Right? It's like our work is like actually really to create change. Right? And that is so huge. Like, and I mean, oh my God, I just want to say like how how proud I am of us, like that we actually do this, and like we
and we're
could give
part of
up
it.
exactly,
Yeah.
and we could give up every day, but we keep on going, and what I just want to come back for a moment to again to for also the listeners, like to just let you know that it is really just this process, and like and also it's so important to not compare, because we're all on our own journey, and we all start to blossom on our own time when our time is perfect. So there's no way we can actually start blossoming before we're actually ready, and I share that with you, but because I've been so that has something that I've become so aware of, especially because I live so close to nature now, with so much, with all these fruit trees and all our garden, and it's there where I started to notice, like, wow, we don't, like, of course we have to do something, but at the same time we also just have to let it be. And like the tomatoes, like they will be there when the time is ripe, when they are ripe, not before, not after. And so it's the same with us, because we are nature, and like really also giving us that time and space to just take it day by day and see, okay, what is there today? And then there's this feeling, like, I know when we are in a moment of confusion, we don't see, we don't get it, but there's always a moment when it's like, I just know. And that's when you leave, right? And even though you might not remember, but obviously something happened there, right? It's because, okay, now the time is right. And before, it wouldn't have been right, because it would have been too early, and too late. It's like it can lose us again momentum. And I also do believe that we will have the opportunity again to leap again, but it's just, again, like this cycle, and like bringing back also this living in back, like living again with the rhythms of nature that we are, right? And so really just knowing that, wow, our every journey is different. Like even in nature, they're not every tomato comes at the same time, even though they're maybe from the same plant, but even there they come at their perfect time. And so same with us, like, and then in between there are these struggles. And and even like to take it further, like, let's see, for example, I just take tomatoes because I love my tomatoes. And they're held by the earth, and then there's the sun, like they are held, right? It's like, and then boop, 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 and then they can grow. And so that's what we have as well. We also have, like, we have each other, and we have Father Sky, Mother Earth, that are protecting us, I mean, supporting us and holding us. And it's like this place for us to just grow. And oh, I just want to see the oh wow, it's been actually an hour already. Perfect. Oh my god. Is there any? I don't know. You want to say anything else?
It's exactly where we're supposed to go somehow, and we didn't plan anything about this like the topic, yes, but nothing else.
Exactly. Yeah. It feels like so round.
Yeah, I just feel like what you just said. In metaphors. Do you say metaphors?
Metaphors.
Yes. Like, obviously, you need, like, make sure you're being held.
Yes.
Just feel like, I mean, this is how we actually came up with this podcast. Like, we're holding each other, and we found each other, and we're appreciating it so much, being together, and just sharing our struggles and sharing our hopes and dreams and ideas and all of it, and all of it gets its space, and this is how we can grow. Like, we need this to flourish. We need this so much.
Exactly.
And we can do it by ourselves, but it's so draining. It's so draining. And we can make our lives way easier on this path.
Totally. Exactly. I love that. And also just something that just came up is like the metaphor with the tomato, like the soil is important. And that's it, like our environment. Who are we actually surrounding ourselves with people who support us or who try to like, you know, put us down, right? And also there being really honest with ourselves, I think, like noticing, oh, where am I actually welcome, or where am I respected with who I am, with all of me,
with all of them,
right? And noticing maybe also, oh, when it's not the right soil, right? Oh my god. I love this so much. Oh my god. So beautiful. Oh, I love that.
I just bumped the micro. I hope it wasn't too loud.
It's okay. This is real and raw. Oh, wow. It's been so beautiful. It's been such an honor to have you here. And I'm so happy that you're here with me. And yeah, that we get to spend these last 2 days together. And I still hope that she's going to stay here for 1 more month. But
we have to talk to her flatmates.
Yeah. I think they're also pretty happy. Yeah, it's so beautiful. Thank you so much. Really, really thank you for also coming here, speaking on a podcast.
Yeah, it was my first time, and you made it very easy. Thank you so much.
Good. Yeah. And by the way, also, like, I'm gonna put into the description your Instagram handle and your website, which is in German, right? But
exactly.
But I'm pretty sure there might be also women who might speak German who listen to this podcast.
Yeah, or even if you live in Germany and you speak English, you're happy to get in touch.
Exactly, that, of course. Yeah, sorry. Yeah. True. Like for any woman in Germany, she is your woman.
Yeah, I'm happy to be.
Yeah, and thank you for all you do. Like, really, I just wanted to let you know, like, all the work you do is so important, and
as is yours.
Yeah,
as is yours.
Yeah. I love you. I love you too. Yeah, and thank you everyone for listening, for watching, and yeah, I hope this helped. And if you have questions, you want to reach out, you know, feel free to reach out. And again, I'm going to put her Instagram handle and her website down into the description so you can find her amazing work. And yeah, I'll speak to you in autumn when we're back with the second season. Mwah. Much love. Bye bye.